Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to Conquest Reforged. Today we are revisiting the plot, and it looks a little bit different, huh? So what I want to do today was kind of walk you guys through a bit more of the foliage and life and things like that we're going to be looking at here when we actually get out to the real plot. And as you guys can see, I've spent quite a bit of time here cleaning up the plot, adding some more to it, and this looks like an actually pretty legit build now. But the point of this, guys, mostly just to get ideas out there, get things kind of going around, and really see what's gonna happen, because there's a lot of stuff that I really wanted to be checking out, and there's a lot to it. Like, I was experimenting like crazy with different ground cover things, like just different stuff, even using these little fences in all over the place, and there's just a lot to it. And it's super cool in my opinion. I'm really happy with it, and I went around and with all the trees that I made, I put a little sign right next to them showing what type of tree it is, as long as I knew the name of the tree, I guess you could say. So we have a western juniper tree right here, which is this guy. Found some images online that were kind of interesting and were pretty cool to build from and everything. And the trees that I build, guys, are not the best in the world. Like, I would say I'm really not that great at building trees, but I try and I make something that I enjoy, and I think it looks pretty solid. So I'm happy with that, and I think it turned out pretty cool. It might be a little boxy, and some shapes aren't super smooth and whatnot, and we can move things around. There's a little bit of gaps right here and whatnot. But this tree here, the images I found online, you could actually see the central, not root structure, but the central beam, I guess. The trunk. The trunk. Thank you. You can see the trunk of the tree in a lot of them. So I just kind of went with that and tried to keep from what I found images of online, I tried to keep that really true to what the tree actually was. So beyond that, I went over and I worked on this tree right here, and this is a Alaskan yellow cedar tree. And I think I wasn't super happy with the bark texture that we went with here, the pine log 1 stairs, but that was kind of the best one I could do. And these are the light spruce needles were the ones that kind of matched up the closest to the images I found online of what the tree actually looks like pine needle or leaf color wise and all that stuff. And this is the closest representation I could make. And we'll have a bunch of different shapes of these, but I think it turned out pretty cool. There's a few little bare spots, like skinny spots, like right in there, probably, that we could work on improving. But overall, I'm happy with this guy. This tree very much follows some strong branches that go out kind of sporadically, and those branches have all the pine needles on it. It's not a very thick tree. When you look up from underneath, you can almost see all the way up the trees from the ones that I've grown up around, and you can see all the way to the top of them. There's a lot of the trunk is bare along the bottom. I got the word right there. And yeah, so it's a pretty skinny, tall tree it's pretty cool. I like it. I think it was interesting. Over here, this big guy we have is a western red cedar, and I think this one works a little bit better. We're using the orange pine logs right in here, and then we are using the green larch leaves, which is just a lighter texture than the pine needle over here, the light spruce needles. And it's even just more of a yellowy, greeny, yellowy one. And I think it worked well, but the way this tree structures, it looks kind of weird, but you can see it here. It gets skinny at the bottom, then it really widens out, and then it gets to the top, it kind of rounds off to the top with a slight point in the middle. So that's what I really tried accomplishing with this guy. Granted, for most Minecraft standards or trees, it looks a little weird, I'm sure, but I went with what the images I found online were actually showing. So that's kind of why it has the shape it does, but like here, it looks a little heavy off to the right side. Overall though, I'm pretty happy with how these are really coming together. And you can see just a lot of the different varieties and everything we're going to be including on our plot when we get there. And I think it's really cool just kind of be bringing all these different ideas and everything together. In the last video, somebody was asking what type of trees and everything we're going to be using on the plot. And so I figured I would build some, see where it goes, and kind of then I got carried away with doing all the undergrowth of everything. The reason why, I'm just going to throw this out there, the reason why I'm going just kind of so all out and just showcasing in these episodes is when we get actually onto the plot, I want to do that as a Let's Build series. So it's probably gonna be like half hour, 45 minutes of me just recording whatever I'm building that day and then leaving it there and just kind of keep building with you guys instead of where I'm normally like build something, go do something, build, then go do some more, then come back, show, and then kind of just hop all the way around. So this series here, I really want to be building with you guys and showing you my whole process that I go through here. Granted, we'll probably do some little cuts here and there just from me fumbling around. But overall, it's really going to be just kind of me for like a half hour just here building with you guys, hanging out, talking about whatever, and just getting that stuff done. And I'm hoping to do a lot of streams on the world, granted, if I have the time for it. Because streams are a little bit more intensive than doing videos. Videos, I can sit down, record a clip, go do some of the work by myself, and then come back, record another clip, and et cetera, et cetera. I can do it over time instead of sitting down for 4 hours or so and just doing it there. But back to actually talking about the video content here. So we have this Western red cedar, and I decided to build another one over here just so this side of the plot had a tree on it. And I built this guy actually into our wall of our little shack house type thing. And I think it turned out really cool, and there's something that I really want to continue doing in the actual build is having some of the houses that, like, yeah, they're going to be built in certain areas, but I don't want them to really be destroying the trees unless they really need to, because obviously you're going to have to cut some trees down because most of these are going to be made out of wood. So duh, we have to cut the trees down. But some of the buildings can use the side of the tree as a support for helping to hold up a wall. I thought that was a really cool idea, and I think it's something that we can really try and push forward and do a lot of extra work with there. Back here in this corner, you guys have already seen this little one. It's a little willow tree, and it's just kind of there. It's chilling. It's doing its thing. But these are going to be in more of the wetter regions of the plot, and just a few of them mixed in here and there. And then the last tree on the plot right over here is this white tree, which is a dogwood tree. These are really, really cool trees. They're a bit shorter. They're more in the under canopy layers of a forest. So we're going to have a few of these mixed in here and there. Sorry for the car in the background if you guys can hear that. But the really cool part about these is their root structure comes up here, but they bend out like crazy. So like this right here, that's a very natural slope for the tree to just be going to the side and then kind of be slanted more or less. I thought it was a really, really cool thing. There's a lot of other trees that can do that and that are actually like very strong root structure and everything, and like go on the sides of cliffs and mountains and whatnot in the area that I'm looking at and taking these trees from. So obviously we're going to be incorporating some of those into like the mountain region, the cliff faces, etc. and etc. There's going to be a lot more types of trees, but I wanted to show you guys quite a few of them that I have going so far. Over here is another variation of the dogwood. Really, really similar tree. This one's just a straight up version of it. But the thing with the dogwoods is their leaf structure is very much on the top of their on the top of the tree. So they don't like it wouldn't like this if we did like right there to kind of hide that up there. That's not something that is realistically like there. I know in Minecraft sometimes you got to make the things happen to like make it look more appealing. But overall with this tree, I actually really like seeing the branch structure from beneath and kind of having that little nice bit of shade coverage from the leaves on top. And I think that's something that we can really take advantage of when working with different types of trees. And I just think it's something that we can do a lot of solid work with here and actually make a lot of progress. So the reason why I have these mushroom blocks here is because something that I want to ask you guys for is if you guys have any ideas on how we can use these much more than just the full block right here. So like we have our little mushrooms that are right down in here. If you grab these ones, if you grab that guy and that guy, the first two mushrooms, they don't place normally, so you have to grab the other ones and they will do all their placement and whatnot, and that's how you place mushrooms wherever, which is kind of annoying. I wish they just took the first ones out of it. But mostly what I really want out of this is like, say you had a mushroom block that like you come over here for like this wet area that we're making, you like right click it on the side of a block and this mushroom would become attached to that side. So like, if that makes sense to you guys, like having a mushroom that would kind of be on the side of a tree. If you guys just Google images of that, you'll find a bunch of different examples. But that would be something really cool to be able to work with in this type of environment we're making here. But sadly, that's not in Reforged yet. Maybe it will be in the future. Who knows? Looking forward to it. Hopefully it'll happen as they keep adding new blocks. But yeah. So, moving beyond the mushrooms though, I want to talk about some of the ground coverage that we have in here. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. You guys can just see all these like butterflies and flies and things flying around, doing, you know, their flying fly things, flies, and, you know, flying with their flies and flying flies. But yeah, beyond that, we have some heather mixed in here. We got this forest grass, you know, we're making a forest, we might as well use the forest grass. But we're using a lot of the bracken, just the different colors of it. We got some mushrooms mixed in. We're using a lot of the rocks of the materials we're using over there. That's not zoom. Over there to actually make the hill or the mountains, like what our actual stone in the area is going to be. Then we got a lot of the typical things for a wet region, like nettles. We got the little angelica because I want to have some bit of white coloring in there. And there's a lot of just different types of nettles and just weird little things, just bushes. And I want to use the hawthorn bush, but I'm really going to have to try and be careful with where we place it because it's so big and it's so far out of the model that it can actually like kind of disrupt other things going on. So we have to be really sparing with that guy. Oh, back here I made another little dogwood tree apparently I forgot about. But this guy, it looks weird because we kept it within just the plot. So like from in the plot from like this side it looks okay. But we got to remember we can't build anything on here or here. So I just kind of put it in there to get something back in here. This guy probably could use some work a bit more, but there's just another example of a somewhat finished up dogwood tree. We'll come back to all this stuff that we're walking through right now in just a sec. But I just want to show you guys some other things. So one other thing before we kind of go and dump all that stuff out. Back here we got, it's a cool little like straight area where we have a bunch of different things kind of hidden back in here so we can get a cool idea. I want to use the little blue wildflowers, just kind of get some blue coloring in there. I think it would be a good idea. Over here, I went ahead and I built up a rock just because I wanted to kind of work with a rock shape and structure and something. And I kind of like it. I think it's a cool idea. I think we got to clean it up and structure it a bit better for once we get in there. But like we got these little rocks, the schist rocks and whatnot that we'll be using. And we just got to kind of build off of them if you think about it. Like that right here, which actually is really cool, is that's the full block. This schist rock is actually placed right above it. Because of the way that Reforged did their 3D models though, if you look, if you look right in there, it's actually sitting down on top of the layer, which is really cool if you think about it. Because like the way the rocks are actually like sunk down into the ground, like that, like it's below it outside its model, so we can actually utilize that. So when we're using snow layer textures of things, we can use that to kind of, for our advantage of being able to put some more detail. Like that would actually work right there. I don't think too much of it, yeah, it might be a little floating right there. But overall, like we can utilize that to actually put more snow layers in here and add some detail on top of them instead of it just being the snow layer. Because as much as I like them, we can't do a whole lot with them. So we're gonna have to figure that out as we go. Overall though, oh yeah, we got the wild overgrown nettles in here too. We got a lot of cool different things kind of mixed in. There's a lot of more of the angelicas. We got some more mushrooms kind of chilling, sitting around here. Lots and lot of the mossy vines hanging down. I think it's cool. It gives us that really kind of like overgrown, wet, super wet, just vines hanging down, dripping wet environment that we're trying to go for here. Just like dark, dreary, and just lush rainforesty type environment. Not typical rainforest, like the Pacific Northwest rainforest. So that's kind of what we're going with here. So we got a lot of different types of plants and whatnot mixed in here, but we got to really work with how we can add a bunch of moss in. And because moss is like everywhere up here. If any of you guys have visited before, moss is legit everywhere. So we got to try and figure out how we can do that. And one way I want to actually help with capturing this is so like right here, we have our smokestack coming out and the wind's kind of pushing it that way, right? So if you think about it, moss will grow on the side of the tree. I believe that the wind is not on. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, that's what it is. So the wind is pushing this way, which dries out like these side of the tree and would like chip everything off of it. It's either that or something to do with the sun. I can't remember right now, but we're going to go with the wind as far as right now, and I'll clarify on that and let you guys know in the next video. Somebody in the comments remind me about that. But yeah, so moss only grows on one side of the tree usually, or one half of the tree, so it kind of wraps around the sides a little bit. So for the most part, we're going to try and keep with that theme throughout the whole build, so it looks more natural and actually kind of is legit. But yeah, there's just a bunch of cool stuff. And then over here, I did a little experiment of a little cave or something. So I have a big rock right here that could have been like falling over in there. And we got some stuff, just like some dirt and it's the old podzol, which has like all the root structure going through it. So that's kind of what's holding the roof up for the cave. And we were able to throw some plants up there and whatnot that kind of made sense. In here though, we got some hanging vines, and it's probably really, really dark for you guys. Let me grab a torch real quick. Let me do this guy. Does that work? That's not much brighter at all. Aha! So we got like hanging vines and a little rat sitting back in here. I think it's gonna be really cool to mess with some caves and whatnot. I think it'd be really, really fun to do that type of stuff. Somebody in the last video, I'm sorry, I really need to remember. I remember you guys' comments, but I always forget the names when I'm recording. I gotta write them down. But somebody in the last episode said that we should really try and do some underwater caves with stalactites and stalagmites. So we can have some cool stuff, just like an underground cave, like a river running through it, and we can have like something like this because we're trying to have it really focused on rivers and whatnot. So that could be kind of something cool to mess around with. Even if it goes into like a magical area, because we can still have this be a fantasy plot. Like it doesn't need to be super realistic. We can have some fantasy elements to it, so like magical crystal caves or something down below, or some power. I don't know, some power like somehow holding everything together. And so we can have like these little caves all around that kind of drop you down into that underground cave system. If you guys think that's something that interesting that we could actually do, let me know, because that would be kind of fun. Just randomly thinking of that now. That's something we can look forward to doing potentially. So if you guys are into that too, let me know. There's a lot of things asked for you guys in this video, and I'm sorry, but you know, I want a lot of feedback before we actually get in there. If you think it's overkill, let me know. Did it again. But yeah, so now we can actually look at the structure itself. I haven't done the interior on this guy just because I've kind of ran out of time. I worked on rebuilding that little fireplace bit right there, but yeah, it kind of works. I don't know. I was messing around with some things and it's interesting. Basically just a dry burning embers right down there, and then using this iron chain rail as like a place to like hang meat off of or something for when you need to cook some food on that guy. Outside though, I turned this area into like a little bit of a tannery. That's his profession I kind of went with, or like a hunter-gatherer type thing. So over here, to kind of bring it all together, we start with this little rope hanging out here on top. And then down there, there's a little bit of plate of food. Right in here is a rabbit hole. You can kind of see it. You can see that little bit of a lip right there. You can't really crouch down anymore all the way, which kind of sucks. But you can kind of see a little bit of a lip right there, and it opens down the bottom. And I threw a rat down there, I believe, just because we don't have a rabbit. Yeah, there's a little guy sitting down in there. And so he would come out here, and somehow there'd be a mechanism, like a little string under the plate that'd go underground and somehow curl up the tree. And then when he ate food off there or stepped on something, it would activate that, and this would fall down, the net would fall down and catch him. Old trapping tool or something like that. But yeah, so that's where that kind of starts it all. And bringing it together, we got this tanning rack right here. Over here we have some bunnies hanging up that are drying outside. Inside of this guy, there's some more bunnies hanging up on here. A little bucket there to catch like blood or something. We got some little bit of blood right down there. And overall, I think this is like his little bit of a workshop area. Back here, he's got some turnips like we had planted out back, just so that there's some food and other storage in here, mixing up between just the bunnies everywhere. But yeah, it's just kind of his general little workshop. He's got some tools hidden around, and there's all the good stuff in here that you could probably need. Got some tobacco up there. What I tried going with on the shape of the overall building though, this guy I changed up and messed with it, and I got something that I actually really like. So what we did here was, instead of this being a straight wall, here at the bottom I just decided to bring bits of it out, making it look like it's a little bit more shanty style and kind of thrown together. Then here, did a little bit of that too, just kind of mixing up the style, throwing stuff here and there, breaking it up. This is what it was before, just pretty flat and kind of boring. But we kind of bulked it up at the base there, and it makes it a lot more interesting than what we were looking at before, which I think is really cool. Kind of did that over here too. You can see it just really messing with the sides. On this guy we did it too. There's some bits right there, just kind of bringing it out, showing more supports and whatnot for the building. Overall though, guys, that's pretty much it. We got this little setup right here, but that's as much as I can really cram into a 25 by 25 plot. Now our face is glowing. But guys, I know I'm lasting one more time. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I've had a lot of fun making this, and I'm really looking forward to getting on that new Reforged server. But that's pretty much all I got for this pre-planning series right here. So we're going to call this one off until that new server gets up and we can actually head in there and get some cool work done. So guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys are thinking about this. I'm pretty sure that's the 100th time I've asked you this episode. But as always, guys, please hit that like button down below. It really does mean a lot to me. If you guys think this deserved a dislike, go ahead and hit that as well. Anything you guys give me helps me out a lot. And guys, if you really enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button. I will see you all in the next episode.